Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome back. We're going to do an unboxing for the Marvel Champions Living Card Game Hero Pack for Scarlet Witch. Let's just say, no spoilers if you haven't seen WandaVision. I don't think there's any spoilers in here since this was made, probably well before that, and it's based off the comic books. There might be some, hints or tidbits, but, that's, you'll find out, I guess, when you get there. It's not going to ruin the show or anything. Just, there's nods to it, but if you're a comic book fan, you already knew all that stuff. So here we have our 60 card pack with one pre-built deck, 30 new cards. New Nemesis, Luminous, who I'm actually not familiar with. I don't follow Scarlet Witch that close. I read some of the vendors here and there. She's continuing along with the Quicksilver team-ups. So she has some stuff that mingles with him. Kind of the same way Ant-Man and Wasp did. So I've already unwrapped the card just because it takes me forever to do that. And I don't think anyone really wants to sit there and watch me do that. Alright, then we have our poster. I do like that they put these posters in there. I was only mad because they didn't have, extra posters for the ones in, the core sets. You don't get one for the original 5 heroes. You don't get one for Hawkeye and Spider-Woman. It would have been cool if they would have had one for all of them, and you could kind of, frame this neat artwork. It's saying where my stuff is. It's going to be on the new keyword team up, which I'll go over when we get there. And then she's the Justice character, so we'll just see what that does. Scarlet Witch is definitely going to be an interesting play, just because of who Scarlet Witch is. So let's take a look. Let's just dive right in here. She is Scarlet Witch. She's an Avenger. She's also a Mystic. So far, I believe the only other Mystic we have is Doctor Strange. I don't believe even any of the henchmen or villains or minions have Mystic on there. 2 support, 2 defense with 1 attack. Hands has a 5-10 hit points. So she can't take a ton of damage, but she has Chaos Control, Interrupt. When boost icons on an encounter card would be counted, discard the top card of the encounter deck and count the number of boost icons on that card instead. So, it's all about her chaos magic, which is sort of like a version of probability control. She can't 100% all the time be like, I'm going to make this do this thing. But she can change the outcomes. Generally, she tries to change it favorable in her way. Or sometimes it, disfavorable towards whatever villain she's fighting. But she can't always control that. And that's kind of sort of so that. Because you could have a boost that has 3 icons, flip it over, have one that has 0. Great, that's super worked out for you. But if you had one that had 2, and you're like, let me risk it, you could end up going with 3. So that's just kind of neat. Alright, now let's flip her over. And of course, we have Wanda Maximoff with Recovery of 3, which is pretty standard for pretty much everybody. So she's just a Mystic. Superpowered Siblings. Action. Discard 2 cards from your hand, and then draw 2 cards. Just kind of a neat effect. She's a hand size of 6. Draw 3 cards instead if Pietro Maximoff is in play once per round. Now, this can be an ally version of Pietro Maximoff from, this deck, or it can be another person playing as Pietro Maximoff, but they have to be on that side, not the Quicksilver side. But yeah, that gives you some extra things, if you have them in play, you actually get a card advantage. If you don't, at least you can get rid of stuff that you're not using and recycle it quicker, so you can get through the cards you need a little bit faster. Just remember that if you run out of your deck, you have to draw encounter cards. So you don't want to. So you kind of don't want to burn through it too fast. But that's kind of gimmick. I believe that's what Wanda's gimmick is. He's burning through her deck fast. So here we have her signature ally, Quicksilver, Pietro Maximoff, 1 thwart, 2 attack. He is an Avenger. Action, ready Quicksilver, once per phase. I've warned you to never threaten my sister. And now, note that this is once per phase, not once per turn. So you could attack with him, or thwart with him, and then the next phase comes up for defending, you could ready him, so you could still defend and take damage from him. So he can attack, and he can block in the same turn. So that's definitely cool. Alright. Speaking of chaos magic, we have a 0-cost event. Spell, superpowers. Now we're getting some more spells in here. The wild card down here. Hero action. Play this card from your hand, ignoring its resource cost, which is 0. Sorry, it says play a card from your hand. Not this card. You play this card, lets you play another card, ignoring its resource cost. Discard cards from the top of the encounter deck equal to that card's printed cost. I will shape the world as I see fit. So that's pretty incredible. She can play a high level card if she needs to, just at the cost of the encounter deck going down. Now she doesn't get any of the boosts or nothing hit from that, but you're gonna lower your encounter deck quicker, and when the encounter deck runs out, they get that, I want to say, it's not Surge, but that's what I'm thinking, my brain's trying to tell me it's a Surge icon, but they gain the plus extra draw and encounter per character every turn. So it's basically, you can hit hard, but you're going to have a lot of threats coming back later at you. So she only has one of those. Then she has her traditional Hex Bolts, which are Genius type. Spell, superpower. Hero action. Discard the top 3 cards of the encounter deck. Again, just doing more discarding off the encounter deck. For each card discarded this way that has a boost icon equal to 0, you deal 2 damage to an enemy. If it has 1 boost, you remove 2 threat from a scheme. If it has 2, you get to draw a card. If it has 3 or more, place a status card on a character. It's just kind of a neat thing. It's a gamble. You can either potentially do 2 damage or 2 threat, get a card which could help you out, or you can place a status card on a character. And it's just a status card on a character. So you could play tough on one of your characters, or you could play like confused on one of the opponents. So that's definitely a cool thing, but it's really gimmicky. Unless you have a way of looking at what's coming up on the encounter deck or stacking the deck, it's just a giant gamble. And she's got a couple of them. She actually gets 4 of those, because those are her signature card. So you can see, just between her first 2 cards and her 1 ability, she can burn through the deck really fast. But that might not be a bad thing if you can, do enough extra damage right away so it doesn't make a difference. Now we have a Molecular Decay. 3 costs is a high one. Attack spell. Hero action. Deal 5 damage to an enemy and discard the top 2 cards of the encounter deck. For each boost icon discarded this way, deal 1 additional damage to that enemy. There is no defense against the Scarlet Witch. So again, that could super be powerful because it's 5 damage no matter what. Then you could potentially do, I think there's usually 3 icons on there, so you could potentially do an extra 6 damage, which would really hurt a lot of, you take out pretty much any minion, outside of a few of them. Usually those are your obligation ones, and it really hurt most of the major villains. So it's actually pretty cool. But yeah, has a hefty cost to it as well, especially if you've been playing all our other cards. So she gets 3 of those. Yes, this is definitely a weird deck to play because she'll be burning through that pretty quick. I would not want to play it with the Electro side scheme because that's his whole gimmick too, is just burning through that. And that would really suck. Alright, she gets 1 cheaper card, Warp Reality. Spell, superpower, Hero Interrupt. Now, if you notice, every one of her cards are heroes. So she's performing everything as Scarlet Witch. You flip over to Wanda, it's basically, I need to reset my hand, figure out what spells I might want to cast, which ones I can use, which ones I can't afford. But then when you flip over to Scarlet Witch, you're doing massive whatever you need to be doing, whether it's damage or whatever, but you're causing all sorts of chaos on the field as well. So when encounter cards are revealed from the encounter deck, cancel all of its effects and discard it. Discard cards from the top of the encounter deck equal to the number of boost icons on that card. So again, this could be a very big gamble. If it's something that's really going to hurt you, you could take that effect, or you could discard it and not have to deal with it. But then also you could potentially be losing a bunch more cards off of that deck. Alright, she does have a support character, so we have Agatha Harkness. So this is kind of one of my references to WandaVision. So she has a persona, alter ego action. So when you're Wanda, exhaust Agatha Harkness, which are the top 3 cards of your deck, add one of those to your hand, place the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. So she lets you, again, helps you cycle through your cards. So while you're Wanda, between her regular power and Agatha, you can search for exactly what card you need at the time. Like, you need to hit that 5 damage, plus you'll pull out your molecular disintegration. You need potentially stop threats coming up, get reality warp. Like, you can manipulate very well to get what cards you're going to kind of need in your hand, but you're also going to cause a lot of problems elsewhere. She has an upgrade. She gets a magical shield, hero interrupt. When a friendly character would take any amount of damage, discard magical shield to prevent 3 of that damage. That's definitely a helpful card to have. It only costs 1. And she gets 3 of those. And she's got 1 card left in her deck. Scarlet Witch's Crest. 2-cost upgrade item. Just an interrupt. So the first one, it's not a hero-specific card. Outside of Agatha, they've all been hero-specific. When a boost icons on an encounter card are counted, exhaust Scarlet Witch's Crest, increase or decrease the number of boost icons on that card by that card for 1. So this is actually a really cool one to have. This is probably one you, maybe as Wanda, would want to try and cycle your deck to get out and keep out. It's basically that's saying you can increase or decrease the number of boost icons. So when you're playing Reality Warp, discard top cards from the counter, you can lower that by 1, so you don't have to discard as many cards. For each boost icon, just deal 1 additional damage. You already have to discard. You could up the boost damage, do an extra point of damage with that card. It would help you pick and choose a little bit more here. So if you drew a 1, you could lower it to 0, or you could up it to 2. So it would give you all 3 options there. So you'd have a little bit more leeway, or same thing at 2, you could go down to 1 or up to 3. It would give you more leeway on what you want to do with your Hex Bolts. That doesn't really help you there much, but discard the top card and count the number of boosts there. So you can also use it with her interrupt here. You can stop 1, and it's like, oh, it was a 3. Oh, now it ended up being a 1. You could use your Crest to even still lower that down to a 0. So definitely this Crest is super effective. You probably almost want to like cycle through your hand as Wanda on your first turn, try and get Agatha or get that card out as quickly as you possibly can. Alright, so next up we have the yellow cards. We have her Justice deck. Alright, here's the other little bit of spoiler for WandaVision. Is the first 2 allies she has in here are Speed and Wiccan. So Thomas Shepard and William Kaplan. So these are her 2 kids. If you're wondering why they have odd names, if you're familiar with the comic book story, is essentially the whole thing with Wanda, she very much like the TV show. She created her kids originally, and then there's a whole lot of other stuff that went on. They got taken away by Mephisto, all this stuff, and then years later they did the Young Avengers comics, which found out that the souls of those two kids that she had created were put into two brand new children. So these are technically her kids, but they were born to other parents. And that's why, so Wiccan is basically a super powerful magician, and Speed has Quicksilver Speed powers. So let's take a look at each one of them individually. So Speed, Thomas Shepard. 2 thwart, 1 attack, so the opposite of Quicksilver actually. 4, Speed, after Speed thwarts, ready him, once per round. So he's not as good as Quicksilver is, because he only gets to do it once per round. But if you thwart him, you get to use him right away. Hey Geriatrics, let's get the move. The Avengers need us. So I kind of hope they keep releasing the rest of the Young Avengers, at least some for them. That'd be kind of fun. And then Wiccan, who's a super powerful magician, who doesn't control chaos magic necessarily, but he's actually becomes the Demiurge. I believe the Demiurge? In the future becomes like one of the most powerful, supposed to become one of the most powerful mages of all time. So he's kind of learning his power. So it's 1 thwart, 1 attack. Response, after Wiccan thwarts, discard the top card of the encounter deck. Shares that with Scarlet Witch. For each boost icon discard this way, deal 1 damage to an enemy. I am the child of a witch and an android. I am their wish come true. And I think I saw how they explain his powers more recently. As he has like essentially wish granting powers is how they. So he has magic powers, but like how he does stuff is he's like, I want to do this, I want this, I want this, I want this, and then that's what makes it happen. So it's kind of interesting. He's definitely a neat character. Alright, what else do we got here? We have Crisis Averted, a 3-cost thwart. Hero action. Remove 6 thwart from the main scheme. If you pay for this card using a genius resource, this thwart ignores the crisis icon. So it can jump right to the main one, regardless if there's a crisis or not. We got 3 of them. That's the new one. Here's another new one. Multitasking. Miles Morales, just resting a dog while eating a donut. Thwart hero action. Remove 2 threats from a scheme. If you pay for this card using a genius resource, remove 2 threat from a different scheme. A hero isn't the one who always wins, they're the one who always tries. Spider-Man. So this is really heavy on doing thwarting. I think this would be really good for Spider-Man. Swift Retribution. That looks like probably Moon Knight. Yep, Moon Knight. I just learned to read. Attack. Hero action. The villain schemes deal 4 damage to the villain. So they get a scheme, but you get to deal an extra 4 damage, which kind of costs, but it sort of fits in with the Wanda Scarlet Witch thing, because you're causing bad things to happen, but you're gaining a bonus, but it's also really cheap for that. Return what you're taking, and I'll let you go this time, but next time you won't be so lucky, and I won't be so kind. So you get 3 of them, and we get a Scarlet Witch card to turn the tide, 0 cost attack. Response. Attack. After your hero thwarts and removes all the threat from a scheme, deal 3 damage to an enemy. So definitely good, just very specific on when you can use it. Then we get the Power of Justice, which is double the number of resources generated while paying for a Justice card. And then we have 2 Heroic Intuition. Play under any player's control, your hero gets +1 thwart. So I really want her to thwart a lot with this. Alright. let's look at some basic cards. We got a couple of those, and then we'll get into the obligations and the other cards. So here's the new card. It's Order and Chaos. It's a 1-cost event, which has team up Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch. So Scarlet Witch, or Quicksilver, also has this card. Essentially, how a team up card works: you cannot include it in your deck unless one of the 2 named characters appear. Ant-Man and Wasp also have a card like this, and I'm fairly certain Rocket and Groot will also have a card like this. Whether they extend it into the other Guardian characters or not, I don't know. I kind of love something like that, where if they would release like an extra expansion pack, not necessarily tied to a hero, and like release, oh, here's a bunch of team up cards that fit a bunch of the other different older heroes. That would definitely be cool. So you could have like Hulk and Black Widow as a team up, or something like, even if there's only 1 per pack. So you had to put it in one or the other deck, or you had to buy a second pack. I would even be fine with that. But then you could get like Captain America and this person, or Captain Marvel and Spider-Woman. Just a neat extra thing to do, because they only give you 1 per deck anyhow, because you can only have 1 per deck. So here it says, and then to play the actual card, so once you satisfied having one of these 2 characters as your main hero, you can put it in your deck. Then to play it, both of these heroes have to be in play. So if I'm playing Scarlet Witch, either I have to have my ally Quicksilver out, or another player has to be playing Quicksilver, or have their Quicksilver ally out. Like if I don't have one. Currently, right now, that wouldn't be possible to have someone have an additional Quicksilver ally, because he's only exclusive to Scarlet Witch's deck. But in the future, that could happen. Or if the Ant-Man and Wasp, because there's several Ant-Man and Wasp characters. There's a signature Ant-Man and Wasp, and then there's an Ant-Man and Wasp in one of the other decks, so they have more options for that. Alright, so Hero Interrupt. When a treachery card is revealed from the encounter deck, cancel its reveal effect, then deal 2 damage to the villain. That's definitely a powerful effect. We have Spiritual Meditation, another spell. This is kind of fun because it's the first spell in her deck that's not tied to her, so we can use this with Doctor Strange as well. Play only if your identity has the Mystic trait. Action: draw 2 cards, choose and discard 1 card from your hand. So it kind of works like hers, but you get a little bit more control, because you get to draw 2 cards first, then pick 1, versus discarding 2, then drawing. Every spell, every sigil, every manipulation, you must keep a close eye on everything so it doesn't backfire. We've got 3 of those. And then, of course, we got the Energy, Genius, and Strength cards. Alright, let's look at her personal encounter deck. So we get her obligation. Give to the Wanda Maximoff player. You may flip Alter Ego form. Exhaust Wanda to remove Slipping Sanity from the game. Or discard the top 5 cards of the encounter deck for each star icon in the boost area. Discard it this way. Place 1 threat on the main scheme and then discard this obligation. So like usually they make you skip your turn. So you can exhaust them, or you can like skip your turn or whatever, just to get rid of it. Just to put it back in the deck or do something like that. This one actually has a fairly, but she also gets 2 of them. So she's going to lose her sanity a lot more often than other characters will. Her Nemesis deck has the next evolution with the High Evolutionary. The High Evolutionary intends to build a god fit for the 21st century. Increase the number of boost icons on each encounter by 1, which could definitely work or hurt the Wanda deck, because she has lots of stuff that affect what numbers those are. Like the ones you do extra damage, great, but the ones where you have to like draw extra cards or do extra things for everyone, then it's really bad. So here's Luminous, who I don't even know who this is. Force Response. After Luminous activates, gently discard the top card of the encounter deck. If 2 or more boost icons were discarded, this way deal yourself 1 encounter card. Interesting. Alright, and then we have Magical Suppression. Attached to your identity. Each card you play costs 1 additional resource. Hero action, discard, or exhaust your hero to discard this. So that actually makes sense. You binder, she can't do anything. Unless you exhaust or give her a chance to rest. And then Chaos Manipulation. Search the encounter deck and discard pile for Luminous, put her into play, engage with you. Then her effect will trigger. Discard the top card of the encounter deck if 2 or more boost cards. She activates against you. Oh boy. So that's that. Here's Wanda's deck list. Alright, and then let's get to the last ones, the brand new cards that fit into the other ones. We have an Aggression. Browbeat. Attack. Play only if your identity has the Avenger's trait. Action. Discard or deal 2 damage to the villain. Deal X additional damage to the villain to a maximum of 3, where X is equal to the villain's stage. So stage 1 it would do 3 damage, stage 2 would do 4, stage 3 it would do 5. Just kind of effective. Nice little like upgrading beat, so the harder guy you're gonna play, the better it is. 0 cost, Last Stand, a tactic for leadership. Hero Interrupt. When an ally you control attacks, it gets +3 for that attack. After that attack resolves, discard that ally. Heed, Great Fiend, thou shalt not defeat me easily. A Lady Sith. That's kind of cool though. If they're about to die anyhow, like they're running out of attack, give them an extra 3 attack quick. Like always, you get 3 of these cards. So we have Bait and Switch, Protection. Spidey punching the Green Goblin. Hero Action. The villain attacks you, remove 4 threat from the main scheme. So that's kind of neat. That's like the opposite of the one that she has in her Justice one, where they scheme and then you remove 4 threat. This one they attack you and you remove, or they scheme and then you do 4 damage. This one they attack you and you remove 4 threats. It's kind of neat that they made an opposite. And then finally we have the basic one, Recuperation. It's like She-Hulk in her Jen Walters form. Alter Ego, heal damage from your alter ego equal to your recovery. So that's actually kind of nice. There's 2 and you get an extra 3. You don't have to spend an extra turn healing them. This card is going to be crazy when Drax comes out, because Drax has a bunch of abilities where he takes extra damage to boost his attack, and then you can do stuff to heal him. If also you have this, you can spend a free turn healing him and not have to, you can take actually more damage. So that'll be interesting to see how that works. Plus it's a basic, so it can slide in anywhere. Alright, so that was Scarlet Witch, Wanda Maximoff deck. Next set coming out is the big campaign with Rocket and Groot, Galaxy's Most Wanted, and then they have 3 more Guardian characters. Star-Lord, Gamora, Drax. Not sure who's coming after that. I've seen a slight spoiler list, but I'm not sure if it's accurate, and if that's correct, then the next person's Venom. But it'll be interesting, if that's true, it'll be interesting to see if it's Eddie Brock Venom, from like more of like the recent comics, or if it's going to be, since it's just the Guardians, if it's going to be Flash Thompson Space Knight Venom, or even just Agent Venom. See how it is. Alright, I'll check you guys in the next video. Bye.